Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. I think this is our session number 5. And look who we have in our Spotlight Fridays. No one but Jarrod. Hello, Jarrod. Thank you for joining us.
No worries. Yeah.
Now, I just wanted to mention to everyone who's attending for the fifth time and the new people as well that we can't see you when you attend live. But if you can let us know that you are watching us on this live stream in real time, that'll be amazing. If you can just send us a waving emoji or just say hello, that'll be great. You can always feel free to give us some comments in real time. And if we'll have a bit of time, then we'll ask Jarrod to answer your questions if you have any. But Jarrod, the spotlight is on you, my friend, today. I'm very glad that we finally nailed the time to have you as our guest. And I know you promised to talk to us about e-commerce strategy, what works, what doesn't, and what drives real business results. Take it away.
Yeah, cool. So, look, I guess a little bit about me quickly. So, I'm at Spotlight at the moment, running the sort of e-com website for Spotlight. I've been really fortunate in my career to be able to do some really cool stuff with some big retailers. So, early in my career, I helped launch some categories for superstores at Coles, launching TVs there. I helped Kmart with their central checkout stores, looking after Home World and doing macro and micro space. I helped launch food into David Jones from a fresh food perspective. I've launched 3PL warehouses, dropship, and a whole heap of other stuff. So I've been really privileged to really see what drives results across, end-to-end retail and what that means for e-com. So for me, I've been really lucky in what I've been able to do. So I've got some solid knowledge on how to drive e-com sales. So probably the biggest bit of advice for me for everyone is really getting back to basics, right? So the biggest thing I find working is looking at your availability. Your best products, if they're out of stock, then conversion just drops and kills. And looking at things like product content and your on-site search and merch and making sure the buttons work right across the board. So, getting back to basics is really critical to actually to success. So,
Well, that's your merchandise and planning and buying background kicks in, I suppose, when you start talking about products straight away. But I mean, this is the reality, right? We do need to ensure that we have the right amount of product and the right
yeah,
product to put in front of customers. But it sounds
absolutely.
by you sharing your background that you've been very busy.
I have. I'm always busy, and I think the biggest thing for me is I'm a lifetime learner. I love learning, and so my career path has really been around where's the next opportunity to learn something new, to get into something and get something done. And so I love to get my hands dirty, and I think I do that probably at home and as well at work. So I tackle some DIY stuff as well, which I don't really have the time for, but you juggle these things and prioritize where you can. So
Jared, you gave me a perfect segue to mention that I have two names for you and how I'll call you behind your back. There are two nicknames for you. You are a superhuman because you started sharing your DIY projects with us on LinkedIn from Christmas lights to, was it a spa that you were building?
yeah, yeah.
To fixing the washing machine. It's like you're doing stuff. Like I don't even know how you find the time. And plus, you're a philosopher. And my suggestion to you and Saul Krogman to can you please start a podcast?
Yeah,
Would be delighted to listen to your deep and meaningful discussions. When you two get in, it's just it's taking into it takes a life on its own. This conversation. So yes, please, and maybe the audience will join me and support me on that one. Yes, a superhuman and a philosopher at the same time.
it's. I think my wife would say otherwise I'm a superhero, but you know, uh, definitely for me, that philosophy side of things and making sure that, I learn and I share is really critical. It's the way I've sort of approached leadership throughout my whole career, is being open within my communication, and being open in sharing results. I think, to be honest, it's just better for everyone and it helps everyone grow. I do have to be careful sometimes, though. I have a tendency to be the first one to answer a question. And so, one of the biggest skills I had to learn, especially in big meetings, is how to be quiet and how to stop, wait, let everyone else say something first, and then jump in. I think there's some people that would give me the feedback. I haven't got that, I haven't nailed that yet, but absolutely something that I think is critical, to success. And I know that it's something that I've got to continue doing and just sit back, because I'm just so eager to share and help drive change. So
Yeah, but it's good that you're aware of that as well, because awareness is the probably the first point that you need to address, because a lot of people just talk over everyone else and they're just not aware of it either. But I agree with you. You're very transparent in sharing on LinkedIn, and I love reading your posts because they're packed with different metrics and stats and numbers and your point of view. So I do consider you the thought leader in the e-commerce space. So I'm very grateful for that.
thank you.
So the tips, are you going to spill the beans for us, please?
Spill the beans. I guess what area do we start, right? It's a real tricky one, because I think there's opportunity across the board.
Breaking down silos. I know that you mentioned that one, and I think it's a huge
Yeah,
one, especially in the enterprise size businesses.
yeah. I think breaking silos is probably one of the things that I find that gets you the biggest amount of cut through. So, I go back to my early days when I started at Coles in head office, and I had a really great leader who I worked for, and he gave me the advice to, don't call up on the phone, don't send an email, go over, have that conversation with the other person, build that relationship. If you don't, you might not need it now, but in future you absolutely might need it. And so I had this grounding of going over and sitting on someone's desk and having a chat to them, or sitting on the chair. And it's something that I've carried right through my whole career. And so what it helps me to do is really break down those silos. So especially in enterprise, you have specialist functions, and each of them do and are really great at what they do. But where you get success is actually working together with those other functions to solve the customer problems, or to get your, product out there, or to, you know, get what you need done. And so it's all about, for me, chatting with and bringing that knowledge in with those other team members. I think what does help me out is having worked in, merchandise planning, store operations, supply chain. I also put my other hats on when I'm working with the merchandise team. I try and think about, what is the impact to merchandise? What is the impact to store operations? What is the impact to the marketing team? Whenever I'm looking at any initiative, if you can look at their perspective, you can anticipate the challenges that they might have, and that makes your initiative and what you're going after so much stronger, because it's not just your KPI that you're looking at, it's the total customer, the total sales, and it's quite critical. I think also it helps whenever you've got to do a sign off, have a chat with all the different teams before you have that meeting, and make sure that
Yeah.
everyone's aligned.
Yes, absolutely. And they need to have the sense of ownership of that project, because if they don't, they'll say, I wasn't involved. I don't know what you're talking about. But you're lucky that you had such a diverse background. Not all of us are blessed with that. So when we have to deal with marketing team and IT and merchandise planning and buyers and the executive team, and get all these functionalities of one project ticked off, what I found in my experience, that oversharing it in the beginning, it's probably a good start. So not to leave the teams behind and only introduce them at the sign off
Absolutely.
time.
And seeking feedback as well. The thing that I love more than anything, and I'm very passionate about, any of the initiatives that I'm driving. I'm quite passionate about a lot of things, but I love being proved wrong, right? If I've got a hypothesis, if I've got something that I know is true, and someone thinks otherwise, and they've got the data, and generally I work really well when someone presents me data back. But if they've got a really strong argument and it comes back and opens my eyes, I love being proved wrong, right? And having that understanding of, I didn't think about that. That's great. Okay, so how do we take that into the solution? And what I find is when you take that tact and you do go, I didn't think about that. How do we build that in? Then you really build that connection, that trust, and solidify whatever you're doing, and it definitely helps get things through, and generally it helps for the better on any initiative. So.
Absolutely, but then you facilitate that critical thinking because we don't have to be the smartest people in the room. We are very happy when someone else is doing this job. But it
100%.
means for us in the leadership positions, that means that it was well thought through. And that person took the time to analyze and to review and to form their point of view about it and then to communicate the point of view.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's admirable when people do that, and we want people that to surround ourselves with those people who are critical thinkers and who can disrupt that status quo, and not just rely on the leadership team to make those decisions. So it's a two-way street. We can agree or disagree, but it's nice when people actually express their point of view.
Yeah,
Because there
and I
are
think
lots of learnings always. I rarely launched any initiatives without running it by the customer service team or the retail team because they know the customer better than I do. So you just
100%.
having the right people in the room is very important.
And the customer service team is one of those critical ones that people forget about and
Number
don't
one.
think to ask to. They know the key kind of bits and pieces, but that customer service team, your operations team. And the other thing that I find is the people who really know what is going on is your juniors who are actually doing the work, right? Your buyer's assistants, your marketing content, those kind of roles. Getting in and under with those, your inventory allocators, and getting an understanding of what keeps them maybe not what keeps them up at night, but what is impacting them from doing their job or what their view on some of these things is, because they'll tell you the truth. And you've got some strings that you can pull on, having those chats with them. There's a lot of politics not intentionally, but there's a little bit of politics up higher where people are also cognizant of what they say may impact their team. And so sometimes having those conversations don't necessarily work when you look at a different level. Whereas you get under the ground, they'll generally tell you what's really going on. But make sure that you do that in a way that's building a relationship, especially with their leader, and making sure that you've had that conversation. Say, I just want to chat with the BAs about this. This is why. That is absolutely critical. And I think that's the way to really succeed.
Would you say then that building the relationship is the foundation for any project between the teams, between people,
100%.
stakeholders,
I think
vendors?
one of the most critical, the critical things across any business and any success in any leader is building that relationship. And I say leader, it doesn't matter what level you are. You can be a leader at any level. You don't have to manage a team. You don't have to do anything. And I've had many roles where I actually haven't had a team. And so understanding what others can achieve for you, building those relationships is absolutely critical. It makes everything easier and you get a lot more success out of it.
Yeah, I agree. It does make things easier for sure. And again, we're going back to that sense of ownership when you involve people, and a lot of them like learning new things as well.
Yeah, and it doesn't just go with internal, right? This goes external as well. I've got a colleague with one of our vendors who I think I've had maintained a relationship with him for nearly 6 years now across 3 different businesses. I'm finally now signing a contract with him. That is something that I hadn't done at 2 previous businesses and absolutely wanted to. And it was so much easier having that relationship already built, understanding, you know, we've got a great commercial outcome out of it, and it's fantastic for Spotlight. But it's also been super easy for me having that relationship. So I think the critical thing is that balancing and making sure you have those relationships with your external vendors as well. The other thing I'd say is right now, it's so much change. The last 2 years, the evolution of digital and e-commerce versus the 10 years preceding is astronomical. And so understanding and chatting with vendors around what's changing, what's happening is really important to at least feed your thinking around what you're going to do next. And the only way you can achieve that is having relationships with the right vendors and with vendors out there. And that's part of my strategy on LinkedIn, is absolutely to be able to connect with the right businesses to understand what's coming and where I might need to go and what partners are really going to help us succeed as a business.
This is so clever because it's all about timing, and good on that colleague who's been keeping and nurturing those relationships with you for 6 years, because you didn't sign off anything for 6 years prior, but you have now, and I'm pretty sure, well, I don't know who that is, we can take that offline, but I'm pretty sure it's a big contract and it was absolutely worth that patience. But I think if people sometimes underestimate that there is a long-term game in
100%.
everything. This is not hop on, hop off, and I can see it on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah.
It happens all the time that people jump on, me, jump off. There is no nurturing, no building relationship, no asking other people how they're doing and what is happening in their lives. And I think we just need to create, in loyalty, we talk about those emotional connections, not transactional connections. But I think we can, that permeates that thinking across everything that we do.
Absolutely.
And we met, well, I can say we met online, not through the dating app, but we met online. It was a long time before we met in person, and we formed that very, very good and transparent relationship where I can call you anytime and tell you, look, I'm stuck with this. What do you think? And it goes either way. I had this conversation just before I jumped off on live streaming with Peter Bray from eMasters about Kleiber's recent announcement, and it's just so nice to bounce the ideas of each other and say, what do you think? And what do you think? And have you seen the demo? Have you read the announcement? I think we do want to. It's a very strong community. It's a great community. We want to support each other. Yeah, and it's been, and that's why I started this live streaming on Fridays, just to put spotlight on people like yourself and all the guests before you, and all the guests that we have lined up. We booked out actually up until May already. So, and selfishly, I do learn from every single one of you. So it's been such a pleasure. But if people who listen and have joined us on live streaming today, if they learned something from you today, and I took away a lot of points, and I'm sure that everyone else has as well. So we are very, very grateful. And you've been an amazing contributor in the retail community. I just have to tell you this, and I'm saying this, I'm putting it on the record right now.
Well, thank you.
So it's been fantastic. And yes, we are recording this session, and we will be distributing the link very shortly. Jarrod, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights on what's happening in the e-commerce world and e-commerce strategy and how to build, form, and nurture the relationships. I really appreciate this conversation. It's been great.
And thank you very much for allowing me to come in and talk as well. So I think it's fantastic that you've got this platform, and you're enabling us to sort of share and build what is an amazing community. And I think that's the thing that is different about Australian retail, and probably e-commerce more than any, and e-commerce in the terms of probably loyalty marketing, e-com across the board, is it's tight knit, it's a community, and there is that, building and sharing of ideas for a common goal of driving success. So thanks for allowing us to have this platform.
It's my absolute pleasure, Jarrod. Don't forget about the podcast idea. I'm not letting you off the hook with this one.
We'll see. I've got to make sure that I can fit it in my schedule and see how much DIY I've got to do, and see what gaps I've got. But watch this space. We'll see.
I am. Ask Saul to do all the heavy lifting.
I might have to.
Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.